Alright guys, here's the gear for today. Got kind of a wood motif here, brown, with the Barrister and Mann, the full measure of Mann, and this is the Excelsior base, and I like it just fine. Omnibus is the new one, but I think this will do great. And then this is a That Darn Rob brush before he switched over to Chisel and Hound, and it's one of the early versions of his Fanchurian knot, maybe even the version 1. I think I recall really enjoying it in past uses. The hardware for today is a Perma-Sharp with about 5 uses on it, and we're going to switch away from the Taiga from home-like shaving in favor of the to give some time to the Pearl Flexi. Now this one is the version 5. It's the first one that I bought, and I guess it was last year. I mean, has it been so long that it was a year before that? I don't think so. The Perma-Sharp here was rated pretty well in my previous uses in this razor, so it was another blade, but it was a good shave, and so I'm expecting kind of the same thing today. This razor didn't align exactly right sometimes, and I discovered a little bit of a hack to help everything to center up properly. I'm going to put it on use number. Let me use both hands to do that. Put it on setting number 2, just to keep everything nice and smooth and comfy. I've had to use the Taiga on its lowest setting because that's just where I find it to be the most comfortable. Now, my workaround for this version 5 is to wiggle the top cap back and forth until it kind of auto centers itself, and then tighten it down. And that seems to give me, so far every time, a nice even exposure on both sides and proper alignment. Chose the full measure of Mann as I had it in my bag, and I haven't used it in a while, and oh, a rich sweet tobacco scent. I'm about to get into maybe some cigars, try them out, and what a great scent that's along in that genre. I bet that the Stirling Agar it's oud type scent, and I bet it's going to go well with this full measure of Mann at the end of the shave. The Taiga, I had to set it at the lowest setting because it just seems to be geared kind of high, geared pretty much in an aggressive range, unless you just dial it as low as you can get it. And then to me, it felt kind of like a medium range, medium aggression razor. Got my face wet. Shake a lot of the water out of the brush. You can see the tips are kind of gelling a little bit. And let's do how about maybe a 25-second load. Let's try that out. So if we start at 15, and that means that we can go to 40 for a 25-second load. Not a lot of slurry and goop stirred up right away. Let's go and do 5 more seconds. Here we go. I bet that'll be enough. I know that with my forays into austere August, where because the soap has been consecutively used, the moisture there kind of stays behind in the soap from the brush loading. And so as you go through the months, I discover that reliably you can keep reducing your load times. And it may start out as 15 or 20 seconds, but then it gets down to sometimes something like 3 seconds or less, because it just gets so easy to pick up the soap. And so you do not see a lot of soap on your brush in that case, but you get plenty of lather from it. So that's just combining the Excelsior with the little bit of water that was still in the knot. We do kind of get an early lather here. Tobacconist by Mammoth is a similar scent. I don't think it's as sweet. And so if you have tried maybe a sample of this, the full measure of Mann, but maybe it was a little too sweet for you, then consider Tobacconist. At least that was my first impression of it. I need to use it some more. So that little bit of water we added, starting to increase our lather. This knot has a nice long loft by my standards. I imagine there's some guys that might think it's a little on the floppy side or might appreciate more backbone, but I sure do enjoy it. And as you can see, one benefit is I'm not getting my fingers all soapy. Okay, let's just go with that. Plenty hydrated, it sure seems like. Get my face wet one more time. So that was about 16 milliliters of water that I used to put together the lather. It looks like we're going to have plenty to do the job. What did I say, a 25-second load? So then it ended up to be 30 by the time I added 5 more seconds. This knot is the Fanchurian is one where I've enjoyed using it more once it has a longer soak. I think I've got some water in the core of the brush here that I never made it out. I never combined it with the lather, basically. So I'm going to mix in a little bit more soap. Hopefully give that water somewhere to be. Nice soft tips here. But what I discovered from don't think it was a version 1 Fanchurian, but it was probably early on, was that it made a big difference how long I soaked it prior to the shave. Dip back in and get a little bit more lather. So I made sure to soak this one for a nice long time as well. Feels really good. Other batches that he has have more backbone. But this one, the way it's set, the loft and the hair, right exactly where I like it to be. The tips are treated, and so they're soft. I don't think they're, probably not over treated. So I don't feel like I've got just a whole bunch of sponges touching my face, you know. It's not goopy. Even though I set it at a relatively low number 2 setting here, I believe that the 1.5 days of growth that it's going to be cutting off here, it's not going to have a problem doing that at all. Oh no, there we go. This is not stainless steel like the Taiga. Oh, but it's so much smoother. That's great. A little bit of blade feel, but really not much. But it is cutting. I just went over an area right there on my neck without maybe proper stretching and stuff, and may have given myself a little razor burn. So the blade is there to do damage if you're dumb. I wanted to compare and see if I could tell a difference between the shave of the version 5 and the version 7. So today's shave is with the version 5. And I'm going to go ahead and put them both on 2. And we'll see if I can tell a difference. I did notice that alignment issue that I was having a problem with on the 5 was fixed in the 7. I can just drop the razor blade in there. I don't have to do any kind of workaround. I'm very happy with the Pearl Flexi. And I was very happy with the customer service that they offered as well. The groundwater today is very cold, starting out really frigid. It's snowing outside. We've got a couple inches on the ground, which is uncommon for North Carolina, but it happens every once in a while. And I am bringing in via the hot tap about halfway through the shave. The hot should get up to me and should turn I'll use it. I like to use it to turn the water I'm using to something more like room temperature water. But right now my face and hands are freezing. Yeah, this is a very wet lather here. I think maybe I haven't lathered Excelsior in a while. Also, it could have just been that kind of extra water in the brush, you know. So if we want to thicken this up, we can just go back a few more seconds here in the tub. More than a few seconds, and I've found I often then have to end up with something more pasty, and I have to go back and add some more water to it. And this will be plenty to get me a nice slick layer protection on my skin here. bit loose. It's kind of all over me here. Cross grain now. No problem cutting through that hair. It was comfy. Very controlled. I like the way the blade is held pretty well with this razor. So this one is brass at the core, and then it has layers of some kind of, you know, metal over the brass plating. Don't know exactly what it is, but I think, you know, you're looking at some nice lifelong quality materials with this one. And the price is a lot less than the home-like Taiga. So for my money, this one's more comfortable. Its range of settings is much more favorable for me because I have choices. I don't have to choose the lowest setting. I could go up to 3 if I wanted to, even 4 if I just really felt like it. And a lot smoother. So it's heavy, probably heavier than the Taiga. I like them both visually in different ways. So I think it's a pretty, I mean, it's kind of a competitor. In a way, it's not as precision made, but it's precision enough. It does a great job. I mean, just because, I mean, if a line on there isn't exactly perfect, but it doesn't affect the shave, then big deal, you know? If you can't even tell with your eye that it's not perfect unless you were to put it up against a straight edge, I mean, to me, that just doesn't matter that much. So to me, I think it kind of is a competitor to the Taiga, and I think it beats it in terms of money, at least in terms of comfort for me, in terms of usability of the settings, because it's geared more for my kind of shave. So for me, it's a win, a good choice. Dried my face off between passes so that this too wet lather will work a little better for me. Again, if I want, I can go back and get a little bit more soap there. So I think the solution to fix the problem I had today was something I sometimes remember when I'm working the lather in the bowl. Just press the brush in a little bit more during part of the workup process so that you get some of the soap up into the core of the brush a little deeper. I don't think I pressed hard enough, and so there was this untouched area of just water. And there we go. I don't often have just this little bit of lather left over, but I got enough to do the job. There was a little bit of skipping on the second pass there, and so that often tells me that when a lather is overhydrated, but it's doing a good job. And see, this razor is so smooth, if I ever do need to go against the grain right here, like I tried to do the other day with the Taiga, it'll do it. Because it's not geared quite so heavy, so aggressive. And so the 2 setting today just took care of this beard very nicely. Feels great in terms of comfort and is in terms of closeness. Nice residual slickness if I need to work any areas a little bit more. Very good. So with this brush, if I'm going to load with this much water, I need to use more soap. So I used 30 seconds of soap, and then I had to went back twice for a few more seconds. So maybe in this case, with this brush, 40 seconds of loading or 45 may have been right. Now, if the soap hadn't been used in a while, that can come into play. You might want to add 5 to 10 seconds of loading sometimes in that case. Also, because this is a treated brush, these really soft tips can sometimes not dig up soap quite as easily, and so you may need to add 5 or 10 seconds for that. Might be a guess, but I wouldn't trade it because I really like these tips. I like this brush knot quite a bit, very comfy, so I don't mind spending a few extra seconds loading if I get this level of enjoyment. Now with the treated brush, I choose to give it a good rinse and then work it on the towel just gently. I don't vigorously do it like I do with a boar brush that I want to break in and split those tips. I want to take care of these treated tips because they are more fragile. And so just a little bit of work just to kind of dry it. But man, look how big this guy is, and he feels so great, so soft. I might just use him tomorrow too. Big splay here, kind of a short handle for me, but it's pretty. I like it. When you buy used brushes, sometimes you can't choose your exact one. Now, one good thing about Chisel and Hound, or used to be That Darn Rob, is if you do want one of his handles, if you keep an eye on his website, his handles can sometimes go fast, but often I've had a reasonable chance at getting one or two how I wanted them. It's not like Declaration where they sell out so quickly. You can, and so if you do kind of catch it, or you watch his social media and he'll tell you when a drop is, I think you have a decent chance of getting them, and I've been very happy to try a few of his, and the quality is always terrific. So at his Fanchurian, you could read up on those batches, but you can also, to see if they match what you like, firmness and all that. The handles also come handle only if you want from him, and so you don't have to order a knot from him, or you could order it separately if you wanted. So either way. Oh, so wonderful scent here with the tobacco. Oh man, that's nice. Sweet. It really reminds me, it takes me back to an old tobacco shop that I used to visit with my dad, and just those sweet tobacco scents that were a part of that store. And of course it was a cool store with had this bar and all the tobaccos available, and then it had knives and things like that too, but like classy ones, and tobacco or pipe products, and cutters, and all these cool gizmos, so it was fun browsing around there, and so good memories for this kind of scent for me. So what was this, the Perma-Sharp? Yeah, Perma-Sharp Super or Perma-Sharp Stainless. It's the same one, same blade that does great. Does great. That little bit of tenderness I thought I might have generated is fine. Right there, my face feels nice and taken care of. It feels soft. That's a good soap product there. Let's go ahead and use the Stirling Agar. And I want a little to go a long way, so I am going to put a little bit of water kind of back on my face to help the balm out. It's a good scent. have been one. Maybe I should have bought his balm in, you know, maybe if he was making the balm. But I've got lots of balms that I need to use up. So generally I try not to buy the balm. They don't last forever like the EDTs do and like the aftershave splashes do, the alcohol ones. That helps to preserve them, and they'll last a nice long time. But the balms don't last years and years and years, generally. All right. Well, it was a messy shave because of my over exuberance with the water and or my not quite flexing that brush enough to get rid of some of that water at the base of the knot. Let me give you just kind of visually in case you're having trouble knowing exactly what I'm talking about. So when I was loading the brush, I believe there's probably some water right around this level because I did soak it right up to the handle. That may be something too. Maybe I don't need to soak it that far, you know. But by not splaying it quite as much when I was whipping up the lather, I didn't expose the water at this level to the soap. And so it was more easily able to release once I started working on my face. And there we go. And so when it started to flex more, it released more of that soap and kind of washed out the lather is what I'm thinking happened. Oh, good smells. Oh, the oud. Yeah, now here, let me smell the soap directly now that I've got the oud balm on. It takes away a little bit of the ability to perceive the tobacco, and so in that sense, I might want to choose. This might be such a good scent that I want to maybe use an unscented balm or maybe witch hazel or something like that at the end of the shave, just so I can carry on that nice tobacco scent a little further. Not over. Now the Agar smells great. It's a great transition, and I got a feeling, and sometimes this happens, in the next several minutes, in the next half an hour, I will start to smell the soap sometimes too, and the Agar and the balm will kind of swing back and forth with the soap scent for a little while, and that's really fun. I didn't pour any more water, and so I believe the 16 milliliters is still the amount that was used. Definitely didn't need to add any more, right? I kind of needed to subtract some. But the Pearl Flexi did wonderfully. Since I'm used to the Taiga, I keep preventing the knob from falling out, but you don't have to worry about that with the Flexi. Got to give everything a nice rinse. And there's that nice wide base plate here, and there's the bevel, where we have a nice far-reaching base plate to go out in support to the edges of the blade to help out and give you a good solid feel, not a lot of audio feedback, that kind of thing. This is the version 5, and I will be sending it back to Pearl, but I thought before I did, I would do, and this is what I'm doing maybe over the next few shaves, just a little comparison between the 5 and the 7, just while I have it in place. They have been very kind, and they're not badgering me about sending the 5 back to them. That was part of the deal, you know. They said they would exchange it, and I'll be sending my 5 back to them. But I wanted to test a few times first, and that way, wouldn't it be nice if somebody had a 5 and was doing that workaround so that now they are getting nice, properly aligned blades and good shaves. And if performance-wise, once you had a nice aligned blade, then if you knew that it shaved the same as the 7, then that might make people with the 5 feel good, right? And so that's kind of what I'm going for. But maybe I'll discover something else. But I honestly, this kind of feels like the nice shave that I remember from the 7 as well. And so I don't think there are going to be too many differences that are going to jump out at me between these two razors. I think they're both going to just be enjoyable and similar. Oh, yep, there comes a waft of that tobacco. Very nice. That'll be fun over the next half an hour or so as I get ready for bed and stuff. Well, got snow going on outside. That'll be fun tomorrow. Saturday is tomorrow, so no school. And here in North Carolina, they did call off school today, Friday, with the threat of snow just to keep people safe. Around here, what happens is we don't have the snowplow capabilities of the northern states, but around here, the temperature, you get maybe the snow on there, but then the temperature's warm and then it freezes, and nobody, I don't care where you're from, can drive on ice. And that's kind of what we have to deal with a lot. So that's why we're a little scared in general and get concerned about the snow because we often are faced with ice instead of snow on the streets. All right, guys, hey, take care. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. I hope there's something in this shave to help you guys out. I'm drifting away from the B1. It was a little too much backbone for me. And also drifting away from the Taiga, even though it's a beautiful piece. I love the workmanship. And I like the way it, held and that kind of thing. But it's just not as friendly of a shaving range. This was much more comfortable, smooth, but just as efficient. And so Pearl Flexi for me, maybe the Gillette Fat Boy, another adjustable that works really well that I probably prefer over the Taiga. Gibbs number 17 is another one that's very good. Any other adjustables that I do not like for my face, the Rex Ambassador is not kind. It's a little kind of tenuous and not as consistent on my face. And so I do like the Taiga probably better than the Ambassador. Those are some that I can think of. All right. Take care now. Good night.